Good evening. This is All India Radio Kohima. I'm Jonas Yandan with Evening News. The headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi discusses COVID-19 situation with leaders of different political parties through video conferencing. Health Ministry says 402 patients recovered in the country so far. 773 new confirmed cases of COVID-19 reported during the last 24 hours. Principal Secretary Home Abhijit Sinha says 65 samples of suspected COVID-19 cases have been tested till now, and Nagaland government exempts all activities related to animal husbandry and veterinary services from the purview of the lockdown. Prime Minister Narendra Modi today held an all-party meeting with leaders of different political parties through video conferencing. The Prime Minister discussed the future course of action with them in the light of many states demanding an extension of the lockdown after 14th of this month as a precautionary step in the battle against COVID-19. AIR correspondent quoting sources reports economic impact of the lockdown and measures to deal with it was discussed. Utilization of money released to states and concerns pertaining to daily wage workers and migrant workers were also discussed in detail. Some leaders also urged for making suitable provisions for ensuring free or cheaper testing facilities for the COVID-19 patients. Opposition leaders also demanded for a greater financial stimulus to the states by the centre. A total of 5,194 positive confirmed cases of COVID-19 have been reported in the country so far. 773 positive cases have been reported in the last 24 hours. So far, 402 people have recovered and discharged from hospitals, while 149 have lost their lives in the country due to COVID-19. Briefing reporters in New Delhi today, Joint Secretary in the Health Ministry Love Agarwal said, as the number of COVID-19 cases is rising in the country, the government's response and preparedness are intensifying accordingly. He said dedicated healthcare centers and hospitals are being set up for critical cases. Agarwal said the center has told states to continue its focus on building hospitals and on surveillance and contact tracing. He also said the country has sufficient stock of hydroxychloroquine. Joint Secretary in the Home Ministry Punya Salila Srivastav said the cash benefits of 1,000 to 6,000 rupees have been announced by the Centre for Registered Construction Workers. Under this, 3,000 crore rupees have been given to 2 crore registered construction workers till now. Head scientist in the Indian Council of Medical Research, Raman Gangakektar, said over 1,21,000 tests for COVID-19 have been done so far. Principal Secretary Home Abhijit Sinha has informed that as of 5 p.m. today, a total of 65 samples of suspected COVID-19 cases have been sent for testing for the state. The results of 61 samples have been received and they were all negative. The results of 4 samples are awaited. Sinha said, till now, a total of 5,126 persons have signed up in the N-COVID-19 Nagaland app, where 3,616 persons have self-declared their details. He appealed again to those who have entered the state after March 6th to self-register in the app with their full details. Principal Secretary said number of persons who are presently under home quarantine is 1,314 and 25 are at facility quarantine. He informed that during the lockdown, relief camps and shelters have been set up by Dimapur District Administration for more than 350 stranded migrant labourers and more than 8,000 daily wages. Sinha said other needy people are also being provided food and food grains across the state by the district administration and several civil society organizations. Sinha further said reports from districts regarding availability of food grains, medicines, POL, and other essential goods and commodities are being regularly updated. Nagaland government has informed that all activities related to the Department of Animal Husbandry and Veterinary Services will remain functional in the state during the lockdown period. A notification from the Chief Secretary, Temjun Doi, stated that it has become necessary to include the services of the Department to ensure availability of livestock healthcare services and food commodities of livestock origin, which has been identified as essential requirements. In this regard, the notification said that all veterinary hospitals, dispensaries, veterinary healthcare centers, laboratories, disease diagnostics, and quarantine checkposts, including private veterinary clinics and pharmacies within the jurisdiction of Nagaland, will remain functional during the lockdown period. All livestock and poultry farming operations, both under government and private sector, will continue their activities. Animal feed plants, both government and private sector, including transportation and interstate movement of animal feed and fodder, will remain operational. All dairy processing plants will continue production to ensure procurement from dairy farmers and smooth supply of milk and milk products to the consumers. The notification also directed all functionaries and its personnel to discharge their duties with strict adherence to personal and workplace hygiene, as well as the safety guidelines prescribed by the World Health Organization and the regulations of the state government during the COVID-19 lockdown period. This news comes to you from All India Radio, Kohima. Centre has termed the reports which claimed that hotels and restaurants will remain closed till 15 October 2020 due to COVID-19 outbreak as fake. In a tweet, the Press Information Bureau said the order running in social media in this regard is fake and has not been issued by the Tourism Ministry. Deputy Commissioner of Dimapur Anup Kinchi has asked bank officials to refill all ATM booths and also ensure that social distancing is being maintained by the customers. The DC today visited the customer service points of the State Bank of India at Dimapur to ensure availability of cash and to monitor whether social distancing is being maintained. While interacting with the DC, SBI officials informed that for the benefit of the general public, products and services such as saving bank account, flexi recurring deposit account, special term deposit account, fund transfer of account to account, ductile money remittance, card-based transactions, Aadhaar-enabled payment transactions, Adal Pension Yojana, Pradhan Mantri Jivan Jyoti Bima Yojana, Pradhan Mantri Suraksha Bima Yojana, Aadhaar seeding, loan repayment, and mini statement will be available at the customer service points. Later in the day, the DC along with civil officials inspected all entry points along the Nagaland-Assam border. Interacting with the village council members, Kinchi asked them to ensure proper sealing of all the entry points as a preventive measure to fight the COVID-19. He also advised them for a devising mechanism to ensure that people on the other side of the border gets essential commodities and medicines. The DC also instructed the village council members to restrict movement of people and to maintain social distancing. Deputy Commissioner Woka Orentang Lotha has directed all village council chairmen to ensure that sufficient essential commodities are stocked within the village. In a circular, the DC stated that a step is being taken to facilitate the basic needs of the people during the nationwide lockdown imposed to contain the spread of coronavirus pandemic. He also directed the village council chairman or the Kamburas to assist in procurement and transportation of commodities from the main town to their respective villages. The DC has further asked the Superintendent of Police Woka to issue circulars to all police check gates within Woka district to ensure free movement of all commercial vehicles transporting essential commodities. Home Ministry has directed states to ensure availability of essential goods at fair prices for public at large. In a letter to the Chief Secretaries, Union Home Secretary Ajay Palla has asked the states to deal strictly with offences of hoarding, black marketing, profiteering and speculative trading. He asked them to ensure proper supply of food items, medicines and medical equipments by invoking provisions of Essential Commodities Act 1955. Palla emphasized that measures including fixing of stock limits, capping of prices, enhancing production, inspection of accounts of dealers, and other such actions will be undertaken by the states at the earliest and at regular intervals to ensure production and supply of essential commodities. The Union Home Secretary said that those not complying may be dealt with severely as offences under the Essential Commodities Act are considered as criminal offences and may result in imprisonment of 7 years. And now to end the news, here are the main points again. Prime Minister Narendra Modi discusses COVID-19 situation with leaders of different political parties through video conferencing. Health Ministry says 402 patients recovered in the country so far. 773 new confirmed cases of COVID-19 reported during the last 24 hours. Principal Secretary Home Abhijit Sinha says 65 samples of suspected COVID-19 cases have been tested till now. And Nagaland government exempts all activities related to animal husbandry and veterinary services from the purview of the lockdown. That is all we have in this evening news bulletin. Good night.